Alright, so the last section, respiratory system, anatomy and function of the respiratory system. So functions. Respiratory system allows for respiration to happen. Respiration is process of exchanging gases between the atmosphere and body cells. Filter and remove foreign particles from inhaled air. Humidify and control the temperature of inhaled air. Produce sound, like voice. Provide a sense of smell, olfactory sense. Aid immune defense. Respiratory tract, a pathway of air from nose to lungs. Air in the respiratory tract are cleansed by hair, cilia, and mucus, warmed by heat from blood vessels, and masked by wet surface and passageway necessary to keep lungs tissue healthy from drying out. So then the functions are, one of them is nasal cavity. The nasal cavity are hollow canals separated by septum of bone cartilage. The function is filter, warm, and moisten the air. So the functions are filter, warm, and moisten the air. Then we have the pharynx. The pharynx is a funnel-shaped passageway between the nasal cavity and larynx. Function is connects nasal and oral cavities to the larynx. So that function is connects nasal and oral cavities to the larynx. Then we have the larynx. Larynx contains the vocal cords. The function is produces sound. Vocal cords are elastic tissue that vibrate, producing sound as air travels through the opening or slit in the vocal cords is called the glottis. Then we have the trachea. It's the windpipe, flexible tube that connects to the larynx to the bronchi and leads the air to the bronchi. The left and right branches tubes of the trachea. Function, passage of the air to lungs. Trachea lined with the pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelial cells. Ileus sweeps mucus-loaded and other debris away from the lungs. Then you have the pleural cavity. The pleural cavity is the space between the outside of the lung and the inside of the chest wall. Function, the two membranes that make up the pleura serve primarily to reduce friction when the lungs expand and contract during breathing. Then the lungs. The lungs are a pair of cone-shaped organs that occur the thoracic cavity. Function contains alveoli, where gas exchange occurs and where respiration mainly occurs. Then lastly, there's alveoli. Alveoli are structures made up of simple squamous epithelium surrounded by blood capillaries. Function, exchange of gases, and the endpoint of the respiratory membrane, extremely thin membrane that aids in the rapid exchange of gas. And gas crosses the respiratory membrane by diffusion. Oxygen enters the blood, carbon enters the alveoli. Surfix in the alveoli prevents lung from closing or collapsing.